Okay, I've got a couple of interesting products to talk about today. These are Cheetos, obviously, and what I really wanted to talk about originally was these Simply Cheetos Puffs, um, which I found in a Target. But then when I was going to the checkout line, I saw these Cheetos Eggs, and this is completely weird. I've never seen these before. I think they're just kind of cashing in on the fact that Easter is coming in. And then I decided that, well, if I'm going to talk about these Simply Cheetos Puffs, um, then I'm going to have to compare them to, a normal Cheeto. This is where I maybe sometimes say like, the vanilla Cheeto, but that would get really confusing. So I don't want to use that kind of terminology. So I'm just going to say the regular Cheeto, the Simply Cheeto Puff in the white cheddar, and then the Cheetos eggs, which I'm kind of excited for and also scared of because they are double cheddar. And what does double cheddar mean? I have no idea. So let's take a look at these. Okay, first I'm going to take these, set them aside for just a second because I think that it's only fair to start with the original Cheetos Puff. Um, the packaging is exactly what I expect it to be. I think that you want to start with these just because you want to kind of baseline yourself, right? So let's just open up the package. Yep, and they are definitely Cheetos. Okay, and just give me one moment here while I Cookie Monster these. Yep, yeah, and that's definitely Cheeto. It tastes exactly like what you would expect a Cheeto to taste like. Just gonna have one more. There's a really important thing to do. You want to have two of a product. Um, you don't want to just have one because maybe the first one that you had, maybe it was weird. If you're looking at a Cheeto, maybe the amount of the cheese powder that was on it was not really right. Maybe the amount of cheese powder was too much. Maybe it was too little. Maybe you just hit the tongue just not quite right. It's really good to have a second go at these things. So okay, so there's our baseline. Let's set those aside, and then I wanted to talk about these simply um, these simply Cheetos in the white cheddar. So you can see on the packaging that it says that there's no artificial preservatives, flavors, or colors. And that kind of got me thinking, why do you want that in a Cheeto? I mean, we all know what Cheetos are. And if you're gonna buy Cheetos, you're gonna buy Cheetos for what they are. I mean, when I think about Cheetos, I want something that's just this bizarre, like nuclear orange kind of color that just it's just corn and it's artificial and it's over the top. And it's just delicious. And then I get this package, and I see like, oh, it's simply, it's simply that doesn't make any sense. Like, there's nothing. A Cheeto isn't supposed to be. It isn't supposed to be organic. It isn't supposed to be, anything more than what it is. So let's give these a try. And the package is actually a little bit more difficult to open, and they're definitely okay. So they're definitely a very strange color for a Cheeto. They look a little bit thinner. I'm not sure what the diameter of these are, but I can compare them to the standard Cheeto. And even though both of these are puffed products, I think you can see that the original Cheeto it does seem to be slightly larger. I would estimate about somewhere between 25 and maybe 25% larger diameter. It's sizable, and just feeling it, just the feel of the Simply, um, it feels harder. It feels more rigid. Is it a good product? I don't know. There's a few ways to find out, but the most straightforward is to eat it. So okay, give me one moment. I give this you all Cookie Monster. Okay, okay, okay. That was a little bit weird. I'm gonna try one more. Okay. So the white cheddar, it's texture wise, it's definitely different. Texture wise, it doesn't feel like it's going to have much of that kind of crunchiness to it. It kind of gives a little, and then you get that crunchiness once you're about a quarter, maybe even halfway into the diameter. The cheese feels about the same in terms of the texture. The flavor of it is much less aggressive. Um, the flavor of it is it's slower to come on. It doesn't have that same intensity. That's not, I mean, that's not completely terrible. Very little aftertaste, actually. Very, very little aftertaste. So really, this is an interesting product because what I'm feeling about the white cheddar um, is that this is a snack food that you're going to be able to eat over the long term. So one of the problems that I have to admit I do have with Cheetos is that I started this bag and maybe I'm watching the Super Bowl or something, and that's great and I'm having fun. But then after a while I get tired of that cheesiness. That intensity is just really hard to just like keep on eating. I can see this as being more of like a marathon kind of product. So if you wanted to just eat through the entire bag by yourself, I could really imagine I could really imagine getting through this entire bag um, by myself, and maybe that would be fine. Whereas I don't think that I could do that with the normal Cheetos Puffs. At least not anymore. Maybe when I was a younger man, I could have done that. But this is an interesting product. I kind of see this as like a product that's maybe geared more towards like your 30 plus kind of Cheeto eater, right? So they want to eat the Cheetos. They want to say like, oh yeah, I still eat Cheetos, but the reality is, like we're all kind of getting old, and so they need something a little bit tamer. Maybe that's fine. Now, I do think that had they used maybe some artificial flavors, um, that probably could have brought this up to a different level. Um, Certainly, if the artificial colors had been used, I think that they could have made this look like a much more processed product, which again is just I think what you want when you want Cheetos. I don't think you want something that's terribly organic and natural. That you when you're eating a Cheeto, you want something that you just look at and say this was industrially extruded. Um, and this is it's I mean yeah sure like it's industrially extruded, that's fine, but it just doesn't have that level of extrusion that I want. So this I see as kind of a compromise product. If you like that kind of compromise, I mean that might be fine. But but let's move on to the Cheetos eggs and this kind of cool product. Double cheddar. I don't even know what that means. Does it mean it's like twice as much cheddar, or does it mean that that it's cheddar on the inside and cheddar on the outside, I mean, that doesn't really make sense because like the white cheddar was like still cheddar on the inside, and this is dusted with cheddar on the outside, so that's not double white cheddar. That doesn't really make sense. Maybe it's the intensity. I don't know. Let's okay, open that up and oh, and they are weird. So the first question that I have is why why this shape is so weird? Why do they feel the need to have the texturing on the egg? You can see the texturing on the packaging here, and the egg. It's actually almost identical. It's not quite as much speckling as on the packaging, and that's fine. The packaging, I mean, it never quite looks like the picture. The picture is very attractive. It looks like a very eatable Cheeto egg, um, but the shape is right on. But I don't know why they feel the need to have this kind of textured appearance. If they're going to make something that looks like an egg, they could have just made an oval and that would have done it. Let's give this a quick. Mm, okay, okay. Mm, mm. Okay, so after eating a couple of these, I actually think this is a kind of a disappointing product. And you can see it's actually not surprising to me at all that this is going to be a disappointing Cheeto product, because if you look at the egg, and, you could look at it in the profile view, and you can really see that compared to the normal Cheeto, this is much smaller. The cross section is much smaller around. So when you bite into a normal Cheeto, then that that diameter of the Cheeto means that you have a certain mouth feeling as you bite through the Cheeto, right? Um, and then this, because it's just a much thinner product, it doesn't have that same chewy factor. So the Cheeto feels much less substantial in my mouth. It feels like I just bite into it, and my teeth just go through it with hardly any resistance at all. The cheese flavoring is fine. I mean, it's maybe slightly more intense than the normal Cheeto, but I think that the texture of it is just much less substantial, and I think that the overall experience of it is is just not as good. Um, Even though that the this might be double cheddar, it doesn't taste double. I mean, if anything, it kind of tastes like less because if you're going to compare these products, so fairly and objectively, you're going to say, okay, well, I really need to eat like a whole bunch of these eggs to make up the the size of the normal Cheeto. But that's not how people are going to eat them, right? I mean, people are going to like grab, they're going to like go into the bag and like and grab one out, and they're going to come out with this egg, or possibly they're going to, just go in and grab an entire bag full. I think that a lot of people don't do that with Cheetos though, because you don't want to get that cheese dust all over your hands. So that's not a particularly great way to eat Cheetos in the first place. So if you eat these one by one, I don't think it's going to be a very pleasant experience. The flavor doesn't feel as rich of an experience because the egg type Cheeto is not it's not large, it's not thick, but it doesn't have the same crunchy sensation that you're going to get if you get like a proper crunchy Cheeto. So overall, I would say that this is, you know, I think that this product is going to move a fair number of units because it's labeled double cheddar, so people are going to expect it to be like really intense, and it's kind of like got this novelty shape to it. So maybe, people are gonna buy it for, especially for like young children. I can see people buying this on a lark. But I don't actually see this as a successful product. I don't actually see this as honestly something that probably should have shipped. It's actually rather disappointing.